Hi there, Jeff. Well, let's continue the conversation here at ADIPEC. I'm very pleased to bring in Egypt's Petroleum Minister, Tarek Molla, joining me at the conference. Minister, welcome into the conversation. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. I'm pleased to be with you.
So let's begin with what we've heard from policymakers and industry executives today. I thought it was interesting. The ADNOC Group CEO, Dr. Sultan Al-Jaber, said the world had sleepwalked into this energy crunch. Do you agree?
I do agree very much, and actually he made a very good and strong and clear statements. He voiced what we wanted to say, and it was very clear that there is a big alignment on the statements that he said, and these statements are very realistic and down to earth. And the most important thing is that we are now talking about the energy of today for the energy of the future, which is something true. And we, being also the host of the COP27 next year, and then the UAE will also be the host in the COP28, so the following year. So together this shows that we are now putting together some very bold statements on which we need to be clear on the pathway. So the pathway that we need to put for the entire world, commitments on the COP21 of Paris agreements, commitments to reduce the emissions, commitments definitely to capture the carbon. However, this needs to be done meaningfully and giving the time frame that it needs in order to make sure that we really reach the shores safely.
Minister, reaction on the ground here to the COP26 outcomes has been mixed at best. What can Egypt do when it comes to COP27 that wasn't able to be done at COP26? How are you going to build on this progress or lack thereof at the previous meeting?
Well, I think that we need to demonstrate, since we will be the host next year, I think that we will have some good number of countries and people globally that would really understand what we all want to say, which is the need of fund, the need of investments in such big ambition to reach the net zero, to reach the acceptable levels of carbon emissions in the transition period. So, number one, we need to have the needed and the adequate funds. We need to apply the proper technologies as well as the capacity building of the people. Hence, this will be our focus, and we could demonstrate on that on having identified several initiatives where we can announce them into our COP next year, and like to show a case in one of the things. And I think that the most important action or activity that everybody should work on diligently, which is the CCUS, which is the carbon capture, utilization and storage. It's very important to the oil and gas industry, very important also for the combat of the climate change efforts.
Okay, so watching progress very closely here, I know it's a major focus on the ground. Let's talk about Egypt's economic recovery, because gas plays a major role in Egypt's economy now. I know you've said that you would like to increase gas exports. You're the fastest growing Arab exporter of LNG now. Explain to me how you can be a reliable supplier of gas to Europe in particular. This is an opportunity for you.
This is true, and this is how we based our strategy on relying on our infrastructure, which is represented by our LNG facilities. So we have two LNG facilities in the Mediterranean, one in Alexandria and one in Damietta, and both are our tools in order to avail exports of gas through LNG.
How much gas can you actually get to Europe, though?
Well, we are talking about an average of from 800 to 1 BCF per day, which last quarter represented like 1 million tons of LNG. You can say then in a year it could be 4 million tons per year. It is not that big, but it is not that small. It is a significant amount, and we would very much be happy to represent a reliable source of supply to Europe, That's why when we started back in 2018, the initiative of having the East Mediterranean Gas Forum, by which we are combining all the gas in the East Mediterranean cluster underwater, the Mediterranean Sea, and to bring it all and to monetize it for the countries that are not able to do so, and to pass it through the pipelines, through our LNG facilities to export it. So this has increasingly made a very significant good comeback after the COVID-19, because actually early this year, early in 2021, the prices of LNG was below $2. So we were not even able to export any cargoes.
Yeah.
So suddenly,
and then look what happened.
Yeah, with this reopening, with the good vaccination team and rate that is expanding all over the world, I think that the economy, global economy has recovered, and now business activities are back to normal, and therefore we have this ability to avail some more LNG gas, whether our Egyptian gas or from Israel that is exported as well through Egypt.
Just before I let you go, what would you say is the biggest risk to the global economic recovery and the recovery that we're seeing in the price of oil, the price of gas in 2022 and beyond? Is there anything that's keeping you awake at night? Any key risks that you see on the horizon here?
Well, we don't want to find ourselves unable to find financial institutions availing funds for investments of our current projects. Actually, I'm not talking about Egypt only, but also other countries that are oil and gas producers, because as we said, we need to still produce oil and gas. That's why we need investments. However, we need to be prudent, we need to be very proactive and responsible in order to make sure that we produce them, but meanwhile they are with less emissions and compliant to the global environment theme.
Indeed. Tarek Molla, always a pleasure to speak with you. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, my pleasure.
That is Tarek Molla there, Jeff, Egypt's Petroleum Minister. With that, from Adapec, we'll pass it back over to you.